The giant anaconda, that should not exist. The Amazon basin contains vast regions of blackwater rivers, where tannins from decaying vegetation stain the water dark brown to nearly opaque black. Visibility in these waters often drops to less than 30 centimeters. Light penetrates only the surface layers, leaving deeper regions in perpetual twilight. These environments act like natural cloaking systems. Large animals can move undetected even at close range. Anacondas are uniquely adapted to exploit this. Their skin pigmentation absorbs rather than reflects light, rendering them nearly invisible beneath the surface. But sonar surveys conducted in blackwater tributaries have occasionally recorded anomalous mass signatures moving slowly along riverbeds. These shapes exceeded the size profile of known aquatic megafauna in the region, including manatees and caimans. Most were dismissed as sensor artifacts. But in 2011, a Brazilian research vessel recorded a continuous sonar return of a single elongated object over 9 meters long, moving upstream against current for over 40 minutes before disappearing beneath a submerged root system. The sonar technician initially suspected equipment malfunction until a second independent system recorded the same object. No visual confirmation was possible due to water opacity. The data was archived and never published in peer-reviewed literature. But when re-examined years later, biomechanical analysts concluded that the object's movement pattern was consistent with serpentine undulation, not mammalian propulsion. In other words, something snake-shaped, extremely large, and alive was moving beneath the river. Predators scale with prey availability. Larger predators require larger prey. In most ecosystems, this creates a natural cap on body size. There simply is not enough food to support massive carnivores. But the Amazon basin is an anomaly. It contains some of the highest biomass densities on Earth. Giant fish, capybara, tapirs, caimans, and occasionally cattle. An adult anaconda has been documented consuming prey equal to over 50% of its own body mass in a single feeding. Unlike mammals, snakes can go weeks or months without eating after a large meal. This allows them to exploit episodic prey abundance rather than continuous feeding. But here is where the mystery deepens. Necropsies of large anacondas in Venezuela and Brazil have revealed bone remodeling patterns, consistent with repetitive ingestion of prey larger than their recorded size would predict. Some individuals displayed microfractures in rib bones that healed over time, suggesting the ingestion of prey exerting forces beyond typical physiological stress limits. In simpler terms, some snakes had eaten things too large for their bodies. Or rather, things larger than their bodies should have been capable of consuming. One necropsy described partially digested remains of a full-grown spectacled caiman over 3 meters long inside an anaconda measuring just over 5 meters. Biomechanically, this should be nearly impossible, yet it occurred, which raises the unsettling possibility that some anacondas grow far larger than those ever recovered. And we are only finding the survivors of unsuccessful growth extremes, the ones that did not make it. In 2009, a multinational research team launched a biodiversity survey into a remote floodplain region of northern Brazil. Their objective was to map reptile populations using radiotelemetry and environmental DNA sampling. On the 17th day of the expedition, one of the lead herpetologists reported a massive disturbance in a shallow lagoon. According to field logs, the water surface bulged upward for several seconds before collapsing inward, producing a wake large enough to rock their inflatable boat. No crocodilians were observed. No large mammals were present. When they deployed sonar equipment, they detected a slow-moving mass at depth, estimated at over 8 meters long. As they attempted to reposition equipment, the sonar contact vanished abruptly. The team reported intense unease and terminated operations in the area. The final report concluded equipment malfunction and unverified wildlife interference. But what was never publicly released was the medical report filed by one of the researchers 2 days later. He reported recurring nightmares, intrusive thoughts, and an overwhelming sense of being watched while in the water. Despite no visual confirmation of any animal, psychologists attributed this to expedition stress. But later interviews revealed that 3 team members independently described the same sensation. That something enormous had passed beneath them, unseen, and that it was aware of them. How could a creature exceeding 8 or even 10 meters in length remain undetected in a world of satellites, drones, and camera traps? The answer lies in environmental physics. The flooded forests of the Amazon form labyrinthine corridors of submerged trees, roots, and floating vegetation mats. These structures block visual detection from above and scatter sonar signals below. Additionally, Blackwater rivers absorb light and distort optical imaging beyond shallow depths. Anacondas exploit this environment not merely to hide, but to disappear. Their hunting strategy relies on stillness rather than pursuit. They wait, motionless, sometimes for days, only striking when prey comes within reach. This behavioral profile means they generate minimal detectable movement most of the time. And larger individuals would need to move even less frequently due to their lower metabolic demands. In effect, the bigger the snake, the easier it becomes to remain unseen. Furthermore, if exceptionally large individuals avoid areas of frequent human activity, they could persist indefinitely without detection. This creates what ecologists call a cryptic megafauna niche, large animals that exist, but evade observation through behavioral and environmental camouflage rather than rarity. And once such a niche exists, it becomes almost impossible to disprove. Because absence of evidence becomes evidence of absence only if detection probability is high. In the flooded forests, detection probability is near zero. In 2015, an amateur wildlife photographer posted an image online that briefly went viral before being removed. The photograph showed a partially submerged object in a swamp, initially interpreted as a fallen tree. But when contrast and scale markers were applied, analysts noticed repeating diamond-shaped patterns along its surface. Scale patterns, snake scales. The estimated width of the object exceeded 1 meter. The length extended beyond the frame. The photographer claimed the object moved after the photo was taken and vanished beneath floating vegetation. He attempted to return to the location but was unable to find the site again. Digital forensics revealed no evidence of image manipulation. The metadata indicated the photo was taken in a remote region of southern Venezuela with no nearby settlements. The image was dismissed as pareidolia, but later, herpetologists examining the photograph noticed something more troubling. The scale pattern orientation suggested the animal was not resting but actively coiled beneath the surface, which means the visible segment represented only a fraction of the body. And if the width estimate was correct, the full length could exceed 15 meters. No known snake species reaches that size, but no known snake species is perfectly adapted to blackwater invisibility either. Why have such reports not resulted in confirmed discoveries? The answer lies not only in biology, but in sociology. Scientific institutions rely on reproducible evidence, photographs, specimens, clear measurements, but the environments where giant anacondas are allegedly observed destroy evidence. Bodies sink, bones dissolve rapidly in acidic blackwater, cameras fail due to humidity, electronics short-circuit, expedition access is limited by terrain and logistics, and funding agencies prioritize biodiversity loss, climate change, and disease over cryptic megafauna research. As a result, anomalous observations fall into a category scientists call orphan data. Unconfirmed, unrepeatable, and therefore excluded from formal analysis. But exclusion does not mean absence. It means silence. A silence that grows louder as reports continue to accumulate. And the more data points exist, the harder it becomes to dismiss them as coincidence. Especially when patterns align across cultures, decades, and independent observers. When indigenous knowledge matches satellite data. When forensic damage matches unknown biomechanics, when sonar signatures align with impossible dimensions, at some point, the rational response is not dismissal, but re-examination. If you enjoyed uncovering these amazing animal secrets, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to stay updated on all our future videos. Don't forget to click the bell icon, so you'll never miss out on more fascinating stories from the animal kingdom. Thank you for watching, and we can't wait to explore more hidden secrets with you in the next video.